G'day there guys, Marky here, and welcome back to another episode of r/relationship advice. Now if you love these bloody good stories today, I would love it if you could like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And with that said, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn to the barbie, let's get right into it. Posted by user Mulled Marmite, titled, "Am I the asshole here for staging an intervention and calling my daughter Delusional over a name? I, 50+ male, have a daughter, 26 female. She is currently a TikTok influencer and pregnant with a boy. She is obsessed with this influencing thing, everything about the numbers. Her husband has been evicted to the attic because he ruins her aesthetic that is for the videos. He isn't allowed to bring his items or clothes outside of it, and whenever he as much as forgets a cup on the table, she will scream. My wife and I tried to guide her into therapy and have been paying for the appointments, but we do not know if she's actually been going. And now she's pregnant, which means it isn't just her and my son-in-law's problem, it is also a problem for my grandson. She wants no toys in the house for similar reasons and has banned us from buying any. She doesn't want colorful baby clothes because the baby will stand out on her videos too much. And then there is the name. Robin Marvey Linter. Marvey Linter. I don't know how you say that one, but hey, pop off, queen. While I appreciate that the two middle names are comprised of the names of both sets of grandparents, Marvin and Lee, Lynn and Peter, the amalgams are awful. And Robin is her spelling of Robin because she doesn't want her son to be a sidekick, whatever that means. She doesn't care that he'll get bullied, that his name will be mispronounced, misspelled, and a nightmare on any official capacity, that he will grow to be an adult with the name instead of staying as a baby. It was the last straw. So I staged an intervention after regular talking didn't work. I contacted everyone we both know, and even posted on Reddit to try to convince her that it's an effing horrible idea, and that she needs to think of more than what will look nice for her TikToks or get her more views. She will have a child, and that child's needs and well-being should be a priority. Naming him a ridiculous word salad and depriving him of toys and joy is not an environment suitable for a child. She called me an asshole, and I called her delusional in return. I really don't think that I'm the asshole here, but my wife's family seems to think that I overreacted since it's just a name. But if she's willing to do all of this just for stupid views on an app, what else is she going to do to this child for the sake of her influencing? Am I the asshole here? Edit, her and her husband have separated twice in the past, but always end up together again. They keep breaking up and rekindling over and over again. They had an impromptu marriage on Valentine's Day to heal their relationship, as they now have a child on the way. The TikTok thing has been a frequent source of pain for them. In the comments, the Purple Goat says, "Not the asshole. This lady is being borderline abusive to her husband. How abusive is she going to be to her child? Her husband probably can't afford a divorce anyway. Who the hell can afford 2 households these days? So I think staging the intervention is the right thing to do. Now, nothing she's doing is illegal, but it definitely is wrong. All over stupid TikTok? She needs to wake up and join the real world before she gets even worse." OP says, he can afford a divorce, but they've been together since secondary school, and he gets along well with our family. One of my sons was his best man, and I think he might be afraid that we will hate him for divorcing her. I'll talk to him about it when he gets out of work. Honestly, I'd be having words about divorce and getting custody with your full support. Had a friend whose ex-in-laws liked her better than their son. Divorcing the spouse, but keeping the in-laws can be done. Call the child Robbie. If questioned, tell her you can't remember the entire name and/or spelling. Poor kid. Also, the son-in-law joking about divorce already has one foot out the door. He won't stick around any more than a couple of years. Require receipts from her doctor or simply pay the doctor's office directly. Good luck to you, OP. OP replies, "The worst thing is that they've only been married for some days, and he's clearly regretting it. Everything about this is so extreme. They've been together forever, but in a very on and off way. If it has only been for a few days, it might be worth looking into annulment." OP says, "That's a good point. They married on Valentine's Day. I forgot that annulment exists. If he thinks breaking up is the best choice, I'll bring it up to him. Right now it seems like he wants it to work, just doesn't know how. Definitely worth mentioning it to him so he knows his options and can make an exit strategy if need be. God forbid he ruins her aesthetic even more." Not the asshole. This behavior needs to be halted yesterday. What'll happen when the child makes a mess? What'll happen when they cry for toys and attention? Will she lock the child in a grey, aesthetic, soundproof room so they don't mess up her videos? What'll happen when her traumatized child doesn't perform for the camera how she wants? This sounds like the origin story for a severely developmentally stunted kid locked in a room, deprived of parental affection. As opposed to me, I am not locked in a grey aesthetic soundproof booth. That does not sound like me. OP replies, "That is exactly what my concern is, and why I wanted to stage the intervention." Yeah, honestly, OP, I don't think that marriage is going to last, because if he stays in it, he's going to get continually abused. She's probably going to continue to ramp up her insanity. It's just not good for either parent here. Best case scenario I can see happening is that you guys convince her to go to therapy and she snaps out of it. But I don't know, it doesn't seem realistic to me. Kind of seems like TikTok is her full-time grind and she's gonna do anything for that money and that attention. Big number, go up. Not the asshole here for staging the intervention, and I really do hope that it works. And now, on to the update. This is a bit anticlimactic. We had a family meeting after my daughter's husband got out of work and presented her the Reddit threads, as well as some stories that people shared in the comments. She was reading the comments for about an hour while they kept pouring in, and it overwhelmed her. Didn't help that I kept responding to comments during this time, which was stupid and inconsiderate of me. I did apologize to her, but she doesn't have it in her to forgive me at this moment. At first, she was very quiet. Before admitting that she needed help, she said that she was struggling with feeling fulfilled after her work was made remote back in the original lockdown and needed more things to do that separated work from home. It's where the influencing came in. The numbers going up gave her the same reward that work used to, and she wanted to replicate it with a mummy blog as her other one stagnated. Her husband suggested that she picks up art again and offered to buy her art supplies. She agreed. Turns out that a lot of you were right, and the names were inspired by the Twilight. She wanted to honor the grandparents, which was nice, but couldn't think of any names that fit. She also wanted a bird name as the first name, but didn't want a plain Robin. One of my sons suggested the name Adler, as well as Arnie, Arvid, and Ari from my sister-in-law's culture, and she agreed to one of them. I'm not going to reveal the new middle name for freshly discovered privacy reasons, but some of the comments in the tragedy side gave her good ideas. My daughter seems so defeated now, but says it's because she didn't realize how much the numbers on her social media was taking her over. She agreed to delete the mummy blog at her husband's request, and she said that she will limit her personal account to just the makeup and fashion content she used to do. Time will see how this goes. My son-in-law is still apprehensive, as he's had to have been on eggshells in their home and isn't happy about TikTok at all with her past behavior. He says he wants this to work, which is why he married her despite everything, but that if she doesn't actually go to the therapy that my wife and I paid for, he's going to look at options for leaving. He wants to say to one of the comments that he isn't a wet blanket, but was just trying to keep his wife healthy for the sake of their unborn child. Some of the comments regarding how creeps use mummy blogs as material for their unsavory desires also was a wake-up call for all of us, and none of us will post photos or information relating to our family children online. Wife is taking her shopping for baby clothes sometimes next week, and she managed to convince her that toys are not clutter, but necessary for kids. She reminded my daughter of her own favorite toys and how upset she was when one of them disappeared. So while I was an asshole, it helped my daughter a little bit. Reddit helped a lot more, and I would like to thank you for indulging me in this. In the comments, Bathroom Stall Ghost says, I think it would be best to continue to talk about good childhood memories from you and your wife, both about your daughter's childhood and yours. When the baby comes, do not offer to take the baby. Instead, bring a home-cooked meal over occasionally, or tell all three to go nap while you wash dishes or something. Anything to give them support without making them feel like you are barging in. I think everything will end up okay with this. OP replies, "Thank you. This essentially is what one of my son's friends suggested as well. We're going to do our best to support them. My sister-in-law's family also offered to do the same." A happy ending of sorts. I can only wish your daughter the best going forward. The lockdowns and subsequent forced working from home negatively affected the mental health and perspectives of many people, myself included. Glad to hear. It sounded like some sort of addiction. Social media is made that way. It's called gamification. You get an upvote, you get a kick out of it. I hope therapy can sort that out. OP replies, "I had a Twitter addiction for a while, but at least it was just doom scrolling, as my youngest called it, so I understand it entirely. We'll help her as much as we can." Was your son-in-law finally able to move out of the attic? He should be able to enjoy his own home, like you said. Your daughter was incredibly abusive to him. Yes, forcing him to live in the attic and not enjoy his own home, or she would scream at him, is abuse. She Cinderella'd him. Has she apologized to him for what she did? Is she remorseful? OP says, "They were arguing about where his stuff should be while I was typing this update. He collects and tinkers with old electronics, and she said she doesn't want them in the main parts of the house because they're ugly and take a lot of space. He wasn't directly evicted, but it's where he spent most of his time, because it's where his belongings were. My wife, the beautiful angel that she is, recommended that they turn the guest room into his man cave or convert the garage as it isn't in use due to convenience. They went back home, so I'm not sure if they've come to a conclusion now. I'm glad to hear that she's doing better. I think it's also important for her to know that bright colors and playtime with toys is very important for child development. Like, everyone well-versed in child development and psychology will tell you this. I hope your wife informed her about this when talking about toys." OP replies, "My wife is a primary school teacher, which is why she was able to get through to our daughter regarding child development. Both of us reiterated how important toys are and that it's a mandatory part of parenting. Quotes, I think he might be afraid that we will hate him for divorcing her. How do you even bring this up? It's okay if you want to divorce our daughter. We think she's terrible too." That's so insane. You know, I'm kind of tentative on this one. It doesn't seem like the most positive, but also not the most negative update that there has been in the history of these stories. I'm just glad that she recognizes and accepts the fact that she has a problem. I wonder what happened within this intervention for her to get so pissed off at OP, because, I don't know, I'm not putting two and two together. Maybe you guys can? Like, sure, replying to comments while the intervention is happening is rude, but not so much so that the daughter is like, screw you guys, I'm going home. I accept I have a problem, but I'm also not talking to you because you piss me off. Hopefully this is one of those golden egg stories where the abuse slowly dies out because she realizes that she was being an asshole, but who knows? Good job though, OP, for doing right by your future grandkid. Our next post is by a deleted user, titled, Am I the asshole for taking my kids to go meet my husband's abusive father, even after he prohibited me from doing so? Oh boy. I, 42 female, and my husband, 42 male, Daryl, have 3 kids. 18 male, 13 female, and 9 female. We've been together since we were 15, and married since we were 18. I have never really had any contact with his father. He has always been distant with him, and has made sure to keep me away as well. So I do not know much about his father personally, other than the few things that he has brought up only 1 or 2 times. He's mentioned that he hates his father, and that he was an abusive asshole, and that he would abuse him and his sister every day. His mother took her own life when he was 13, and has been in therapy since. So his relationship with his father is practically non-existent. All he has as a real family is his younger sister. My contact with his father had only been before we got married. Daryl has always tried to keep me as far away from him as possible. I've only interacted with him when I first met his family and when he graduated high school. When we got married at 18, he cut all contact with his father and prohibited me and our kids from ever contacting him or inviting him to anything. That included our weddings, kids' special days, and so on. They have never met their grandpa, and it has always bothered them. They have all met my sister-in-law, 40 female, and love her as family. They frequently ask for her and are very close. She has been to every main event and family gathering. I am not very close to her, but have maintained a good relationship. I asked her about her parents and how it was growing up, and she tried to evade the question and even started to get nervous. She refused to answer my question and changed the subject. Daryl never really told me much about it either, and has reacted the same way when our kids have asked him about his family. On Thanksgiving, we had a family dinner. My whole family attended. Of course, my sister-in-law attended too. Everyone got wasted and had a good time. That was until my youngest asked her if Grandpa was going to attend this year. My other kids jumped on the bandwagon and bombarded her with questions about him and why he was never here. She got overwhelmed and stormed out. My husband scolded them and went to make sure his sister was okay. When we got home, he told them to never bring him up again, to erase even the thought that Grandpa does not exist. This seemed to have lit a fire under all of them, because to them it seemed like a mystery, a hidden character who they were dying to meet. Since then, they have hounded me about it. "Mom, I want to meet Grandpa. Mom, why isn't Grandpa around when yours is? Why don't you invite Grandpa over?" All I could ever tell them was that Dad did not get along with Grandpa and that Grandpa was mean to him. It didn't seem to shake their resolve to meet him. I have brought it up to my husband that his kids want to meet their grandpa. Maybe they should get to meet their grandpa at least once. They deserve it. He did not like the idea and told me to never bring up this subject again. He told me that they would never meet that man. He did not care about how much our kids wanted to meet him. He again prohibited me from ever contacting his father and let alone letting his kids meet him. My kids continued to hound me and begged me to visit Grandpa. I felt bad for them and thought that maybe just once they should meet him. They deserved at least one visit. I convinced myself that it was okay and eventually agreed to it. I told them that this would be our little secret and to not tell their father. Their faces lit up, and throughout the week, they would ask if I was taking them today or tomorrow. So I took them to their grandpa this upcoming weekend. I told my husband that we would be going to the mall and that we would be back late. When we got back home, my husband greeted us and had ordered takeout. His sister was there as well, chowing down. My husband and I went to the kitchen to get something to drink while his sister talked to my kids. I overheard her ask them how their day was and what they did. My youngest excitedly responded, "We got to meet and have ice cream with Grandpa." My husband dropped his cup and it shattered on the floor. I told him that I could explain, but he didn't give me the chance and told me not to say a word, that he will be going for a drive to think and that he will be back. I pleaded for him to hear me out, but he left. His sister was angry as well and followed, but before leaving, she asked me why on God's green earth would I take them to him. Now my kids are asking what happened, and I'm not sure what to say. So am I the asshole for taking my kids to go meet my husband's abusive father? In the comments, variegated Jennifer says, "What in the F is wrong with you? You're the asshole. How dare you? Your husband suffered abuse at the hands of this man on a daily basis, and you knew that, but decided to walk your children into the hands of a known abuser anyway? No regard for him at all? I cannot even imagine what he's going through mentally right now. I feel horrible for him. It's like being abused all over again." Why doesn't she also hate her father-in-law over what he did to her husband? I wouldn't want anything to do with him. She seems to have zero empathy, and it's very concerning. It's a complete betrayal of trust. I understand never having experienced abuse. She clearly hasn't, and I love that for her, but to not grasp the seriousness of the situation and pester the sister to answer uncomfortable questions, pester the husband, go behind his back with no regards for her children's safety, it makes me sick. Those kids are going to be so upset they hurt their father when they get mature enough to realize that the adult they trusted, OP, let them push their way into deeply hurting their own father because she wouldn't tell a 9-year-old no and stop asking. Like, what was a 9-year-old gonna do if she didn't let them meet the grandpa? Get in the car and drive to do it anyway? So, wait, and wait some more. You were told your husband's dad was abusive by both your husband and his sister. There was also a suicide that may or may not be linked to the abuse. Your husband has been in therapy since he was 13 about this, and you thought that you would take your own kids to potential danger? Bloody hell. What kind of person are you? Let alone wife or mum. You've probably shattered trust and could have just put your family in danger's way. Let me guess, the old man was charming and lovely. That's what abusive people do. Act one way and then show their true colors behind closed doors. Yep, gotta hand them that one, OP. You really did a bad thing there. Oh my god. I just don't know what's going through your mind that allows you to think that, you know what, all these people with their trauma and really not wanting to talk about it and, for the sake of everyone else, keeping this man away because he's dangerous. What's the harm if I put our little kids over there, I'm sure he won't abuse them. I'll just lie to my husband. I'll just do things without asking him. I'm not going to respect our relationship. The fact that you thought this through so much and acted on those thoughts shows a complete and continuous lack of judgment. I am very much judging you for that one. What's wrong with you? You're the asshole. And now, on to the update. Hello everyone. Sorry for not responding and for not updating sooner. Life has gotten pretty hectic since I last posted. I want to start by admitting that I have always wanted to meet my husband's father and that I've brought up grandpa to my kids more than a few times. I didn't want to admit it because I knew my husband's story and didn't want to make it seem like I didn't care about how he or his sister felt. I felt it unfair that I was being kept away from his father, and I know that it sounds awful, but I've always wanted to have some kind of relationship with his father. After all, he's still family. I just didn't want to admit that I was wrong for feeling that way. I did use my kids as an excuse and used them to justify my feelings and actions. They did want to meet their grandpa and were always curious about him, so I went and took advantage of it. My family does know the situation, as they noticed that my husband was not staying at home. I've gotten cussed at and shunned for my decision. I'm doing what I can to rebuild my relationship with my husband. He accepted my apology, but told me he would still be staying with his sister until he felt ready to come back home, until he got over my betrayal of his trust. I have read your comments, and you guys are right. My kids do deserve to know the whole truth about their grandpa and why he never wanted or allowed him to be around. So I sat them all down, yes, even my youngest, and explained to them. I told them that they did nothing wrong and that I was the one to blame for everything. I shouldn't have pushed my cruel ambition onto them. I explained the reason Dad wasn't staying at home for the past few days. I believe it can be fixed. I'm not going to give up despite what you all say. My husband will come back, and we will be a family again. I will update whenever I can, and answer any comments whenever I have the chance to. In the comments, Dim Tim from Q says, "The lengths that people such as yourself go to excuse their own shitty decisions, especially when the consequences turn around and bite them hard, is amazing to watch. If your husband was here, I would happily advise him never to trust a single word you say ever again. You as a person simply cannot be trusted. What an insanely horrible person you are. Oh, and yes, as everyone in your earlier post said, you are the asshole in every meaning of the word. May your upcoming divorce be quick and amicable." Quote, "After all, he's still family." Finally, I understand why OP was such an utter fool and profound asshole. She's one of those family people. Miss Pollyanna Tootsie Pie is completely oblivious to the fact that not all families are good, and sharing DNA with someone doesn't necessarily mean that you owe them anything. Losing her hubs is a tough way to learn this lesson, but better late than never, and frankly, she deserves it. Wow, You are an effing sociopath. What kind of sick mental state do you have to want to manipulate your children into begging to meet your life partner's abuser because you're curious and you think you deserve it? I would never forgive you if I was your husband. You're disgusting. You want to be a family again? How do you propose to do that when he will never trust you again? You are well beyond the asshole on this. Not sure if it's psychopathy is set above or stupidity on an epic scale. It is so outlandish, it's hard to imagine that it's not made up. I had an ex-fiance like OP. He reached out to my father during our time together and offered my father that he would convince me to visit and have a father-daughter relationship with my father, whom I was no contact with for more than a decade at the time. My father agreed, because of course he would. Ex-fiancé came home beaming with pride that he was certain that my father was not that bad that I made him look like, and that he fixed my relationship with my father, and now I would not be so broken anymore. Did I already mention that he's an ex-fiancé? Quotes, I believe it can be fixed. I'm not going to give up despite what you all say. My husband will come back, and we will be a happy family again. You crossed some pretty serious boundaries. You sound like a narcissist who only considers herself and not how choices made will affect others. You did a shitty thing to your husband and his sister by violating their trust. And you did a shitty thing to your kids by putting them in the middle and using them as an excuse for your actions. You are still the asshole. You should consider therapy. The 18 and 13-year-old are old enough to be told their granddad is a piece of shit, maybe a bit softer for the 9-year-old, but still old enough to say that he's a bad person and we stay away from him. If the kids are pushing to meet, as she says, you have to assume that it's coming from her. Can't see any other reason why they'd be so adamant to want to see a non-entity in their life. My daughters are 6 and 8 and are not at all interested to get to know my abusive mother, who I am no contact with. They don't know the extent of the abuse. To them, she's less than a stranger who did bad things and caused pain. OP must have worked hard to get those kids interested in meeting Grandpa. For what? Her sick curiosity? As a victim of parental abuse, this is the ultimate betrayal. And you know what? OP deserves to have all that shit dumped on her in the comments like this because it is the ultimate betrayal. She wants family, like she's saying, yet her actions are directly causing a divide between everyone in her family? I don't know. It's just disgusting. It's truly disgusting behavior, and it does sound like a divorce is on the way because what can you do to repair from here? I'm sure that people can sit down and fix their marriage, but Jesus Christ, how many years do you have to be together to know that, something like this isn't okay? Surely being together since 15 or 18 years old and being in your 40s, you know that this is going to end your marriage if you do it. How dumb can you be? Our next post is by a deleted user, titled, My boyfriend and I had an argument regarding his female friend and need to know the best way to approach her to fix this. My, female 22, boyfriend 24 male, has a friend, female 24, who as far as I know, has never been in a relationship. Ever since their friendship started, she would give my boyfriend a Valentine's gift every year. A few days ago, I brought up my discomfort about this since I'm currently his girlfriend and told the friend that I would appreciate it if she would respect my request to stop giving him Valentines. She disregarded my feelings, so I brought up this with my boyfriend, who also disregarded my feelings, which led me to saying some hurtful things about the friend and even accused her of being in love with my boyfriend and trying to keep him to herself. Ever since then, he's been ghosting me. He doesn't even come by the restaurant that I work at anymore, where we met. I figured the best way to handle this is to talk to the friend. I still have her number. I also know where she lives and works. What's holding me back from talking to her is that I'm afraid that boyfriend told her what I said about her from our arguments. What would be the best way to approach her? Are you crazy? Oh my god, that's so unhinged. Edits. Yes, he did tell me. I think we should break up. And yes, I called the friend a virgin loser. And yes, she performs this Valentine gift-giving tradition to all her friends and parents. I didn't mention these because I didn't think they were important. I just wanted to focus on making up with my boyfriend. I guess I didn't see what I requested was a big deal. I didn't think that it would get this serious. There were a lot of people that were sympathetic and agreed that I was reasonable, and I appreciate that sentiment, although I would have appreciated more if they gave me the advice that I'd asked for. That's why I came here. I guess my Valentine's has become my sad. Considering this was the factor of our breakup, I'll stop contacting him at least until Friday. Give him a few days to reconsider. Maybe the next time he sees my text, he'll realize how much he misses me. In the comments, Plupanoic says, he hasn't responded to you for a few days, which, from your post, seems abnormal. When you said the hurtful things to him, how did he react in the moment? He said he thinks you should break up. He broke up with you when he said that. He hasn't talked to you in days. It's over. Move on. Nothing you can do. The advice you're seeking doesn't apply because he is your ex. And I've got to agree with that one because what are you looking for here? He broke up with you. How is attacking his female friend and texting him again and further damaging your reputation in their eyes going to fix anything? What can you say to make this better? You've already burnt that bridge. OP, you are delusional. Leave these people alone. I know that relationship was weird, but you took it way too far and did the wrong thing to try and, fix whatever little Valentine weird thing they had going on. And now, on to the update. Granted, I knew this was a long shot, but I decided to contact the friend. Someone suggested me to show this post to my boyfriend, but I didn't do that because I thought that he would ignore it just like all my other texts and calls. Instead, I decided to show some of the replies that I'd gotten to show the friend that this is weird behavior between friends. I asked her if she can just be honest for once, that she may actually, in fact, have feelings for my boyfriend. She replied that she would like to speak in private and invited me to her apartment. This all happened yesterday. What I thought would be a conversation about trying to understand each other instead turned into a big dunk on me. She told me the reason that she's telling me this to my face instead of through a text is because since I'm acting immature about this whole thing, I'm going to talk to you like a child. She felt that even just the little things about her life that I shared with strangers and then showed their distorted judgment towards her was wrong. She says to me, "Pretty sure you'll share this too, but as soon as I finish what I said here and you walk out of here, I'm blocking your number and trying not to think of you ever again, just like boyfriend is trying to do." I then brought up some family issues that she would share whenever she wants just to get sympathy. She yelled at me and said that's her life that she shares with her friends and said that I'm talking about her life to strangers to get my own sympathy. She then said, "Unlike you, I don't judge people's value based on relationship status or if they have sex or not. Boyfriend is an awesome person. He deserves every good thing in his life. I thought you can be one of them. I thought you were a funny and sweet person, and I liked how you made him smile. Now whenever he thinks about you, he gets upset. And by the way, you two are definitely over. And no, I'm not going to help you understand about my lack of love life. There is nothing to understand. This is my life, and you are not involved in it, and you never will be. And you'll never be involved in boyfriends ever again." I was trying not to cry during this berating. Even when I broke down, she still kept talking while I couldn't even get a word in. I just said I want to talk to him, but she kept telling me to get out. When I calmed down a little in my car, I called my boyfriend. It automatically goes to voicemail. That has never happened before. I called again, and it goes to voicemail. I think he finally blocked me. I think we're over. I think it took me like 30 minutes to feel okay to drive. My friends and roommates tried to comfort me, but I was too exhausted, so I just took a nap. I'm still not feeling all that great, but I'm gonna try to move on. In the comments, TMCHD says, quote, "Instead, I decided to show some of the replies that I'd gotten to the friend that this is weird behavior between friends." You must have dug deep to find those, because the majority of us in the previous post told you not to harass and contact her and to leave it be. You refused the majority/consensus opinion. I'd say over 95% already told you that he's broken up with you and to not approach her again since you screwed it up by approaching her, and yet you just chose to not listen. But some people, i.e. you, do not listen to common sense advice and have to do the hard way and got berated by his friend, whom, in my opinion, had every right to get upset at you. Sigh. Move on, move on. Finally, you are going to take the advice of many who told you to just move on. Edit to add, by the way, OP's ex-friend, if you find this post, you got it right. OP here is acting immature. She called you names, ignored the consensus that she should not have harassed you and her ex-boyfriend. It's very nice of you to basically tell her to her face. I would have just blocked her, and if she kept harassing me, I'd probably just get an RO or something akin to that in the end. Console Right What the Hell says, you called her a virgin loser. She's generous for even giving you the time of day. You want to talk shit and you want to cry about it when those words have consequences? Pick a lane. Quotes, and yes, she performs this Valentine gift giving tradition to all her friends and parents. I didn't mention these because I didn't think they were important. Not important? That's very, very important. Totally changes the symbolism behind the Valentine's Day gift. Quotes, and ever since then, he's been ghosting me. This relationship is done, but OP just didn't want to see it and had to drag the friend back into it. Oof. And they'd only been dating 4 months. If someone that I'd been dating for such a short amount of time tried to dictate what my friends could do and called them names, I'd be cutting them off and ghosting them too. He told her it was over, and she proceeded to make it worse. Slow clap. She kept calling him her boyfriend when everyone knew that it was over. She needs pride and therapy. I said, fine, whatever, and left the bar to a guy that I was seeing when I saw him making out with another girl, and I still feel mortified 20 years later. Meanwhile, some people are out there using time, transportation, and sheer moxie without a care in the world regarding embarrassment. My boyfriend, really ex, won't talk to me. I'll go to his friend that I called a virgin loser for answers. I'd rather yeet myself into the abyss. And that's where I'm going to end today's episode, guys. I cringed with that one. I really want to die after reading the fact that she could not take no for an answer, but hey, that's just some people for ya. Anyway, with that said, I hope you guys have a good day, night, sleep, whatever you're up to, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.